Hello everybody, myself Anki and I am from Somnath English Medium School. Today we will be learning about the supplementary portion of NCERT of Standard 10th. Lesson number 1, A Trump of Surgery. It is written by James Harriet, and James Harriet was a veterinary doctor. The overview of this chapter is that there was one dog, his name was Tricky, and he was pretty greedy in eating the food. His owner, Mrs. Pomfrey, gave him lot of stuff like cake, pies, sweets, a bowl of Horlicks, cod liver oil, and there was only eating portion for the dog, and there was no exercise given to him, not a walk was also given to him. So once a while, James Harriet, the veterinary doctor, met Mrs. Pomfrey while she was walking with Tricky. He saw the condition of the Tricky, and he knew from that moment of time that once a while this dog has to visit his hospital, because his condition might come up to that proportion. As such, he was greedy in the food, and moreover he did not have the exercise. उसको पता चल गया था कि ये बहुत greedy है, खाने के लिए मीठा बहुत खाता है, वॉक नहीं करता है, तो एक टाइम पे ऐसा होगा कि उसको हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट करना ही पड़ेगा. Likewise, in the human being is also there. If we intake more and more food and we do not exercise, at one point of time our body also gives up, and we also might face the difficulties in the body. So same with the Tricky. So this dog is facing lot of trouble afterwards. Okay, and what happens is that he is vomiting, he is wobbling on the rug, and he is feeling uneasy. Mrs. Pomfrey became very tensed, and she called Dr. Harriet. Okay, and this point of time Dr. Harriet knew that the dog must be brought to the hospital and he must be treated as per as his wish of the dog. Happened what? That he was given for few days, he was given only water and no food was given to him. And after 2-3 days, the dog started to show the signs of recovery, and at last the dog is recovered. Now let's start the lesson. The doctor is worried. Now, as you know, the James Harriet met Mrs. Pomfrey and her dog Tricky while passing by on the road, and when he glanced at the dog, okay, he got the perception that a dog was facing some kind of a difficulty. So he asked her that what she was giving as a food to him, what she was giving as a food to the dog Tricky. She said that she gave cakes, pie, a bowl of Horlicks, a cod liver oil, and he also asked her if she was taking her for a long walk and was giving regular exercise, because he was looking like a blotted sausage. Sausage means it is a filling in the hot dog. It is a filling in the hot dog, and its shape resembles somewhat like a banana. Moreover, she gave him the malt, cod liver oil, and a ball of Horlicks. By watching the Tricky, James Harriet was confirmed that one day or the another, within the few moment of time, he will come to his hospital, because his eyes were rheumy, okay, and they were red. As per his opinion as a doctor, he was quite confirmed that this dog Tricky will visit his hospital, because he was not getting any kind of exercise, and moreover he was not giving up the greed of his food. He was not giving up the greed of the food. Tricky feels ill and is admitted to hospital. Likewise, the truth fell upon Mrs. Pomfrey. Within the few days, the Tricky felt ill. He was vomiting constantly and he was wobbling in the rug. Okay, and he was not eating. So naturally her owner became very worried. She called veterinary doctor James Harriet that the condition of Tricky was going from bad to worse. James Harriet immediately came and took Tricky to his hospital. Mrs. Pomfrey gave lot of stuffs of Tricky, but he did not take it. He was put in the box, which was quite warm and comfortable, and for 2-3 days he was never given a food, okay, and not anything to eat. He was only just given the plenty of water. And by this, his conditions started to improve. By doing this gesture by doctor, his conditions started to improve. Now he was admitted to the hospital. Lot of stuffs were given by Mrs. Pomfrey, which belonged to Tricky. He was having weather coat like raincoat, then summer coat, then winter coat. That means he was having a whole wardrobe for himself. But when he was admitted to the hospital and he was taken to the hospital by James Harriet, no things was taken along with him, and he was just wrapped in a rug, and in the hospital he was kept in the box, which was quite comfortable. So Tricky, for 2-3 days he was not given any food, only plenty of water was kept for him, and he drank plenty of water, and no food was given. So doctor was having the observation on Tricky. Now this medical treatment, this treatment of doctor, okay, started to show the sign of progress. This medical treatment of the doctor, that only giving the water, cutting down the food, and giving him plenty of exercise afterwards, started to show the sign of progress in him. He started showing interest on the day 3. And he also started showing the interest in the surroundings. Okay, first of all, when he came out, he was just smelled around by the other dogs who were already there, and they walked off as if he did not belong to them. And Tricky was alone. Moreover, but what happened? His conditions started to improve more. And he showed the progress in his health condition. Moreover, he starts licking the bowl which was kept as a common food. Okay, there was only one bowl for all the dogs, and the food they shared was common. They used to bark and they used to jostle among themselves and they used to run, and the one who comes on first basis used to get a lot of share of food, and it was done from one bowl only. He starts licking the bowl which was kept for the common for all the dogs, and he starts fighting for the share of the food, and he also starts fighting for the share of the food, and he also takes part in the friendly barking, running with them and hunting the rats in the night. Mrs. Pomfrey, naturally she was worried about her dog, also called Dr. James Harriet, and she asked the condition of Tricky. She said that how was he, as she was very worried about his condition. At the point of time, doctor said that he was showing the signs of improvement and he will be home soon. She sends eggs, wine and brandy, 2 dozens of eggs, a wine and a brandy, for building up his constitution and the body structure of the dog, to build up the constitution and the body structure of the dog. As well as what happens is that now he is completely okay. So at one day James Harriet called Mrs. Pomfrey and said that she could take Tricky home. When Tricky saw his mistress from coming out of the limo, he was very happy and he jumped out onto her lap in the excitement. Mrs. Pomfrey had a tears in her eyes of happiness and she thanked Dr. Harriet for he recovered Tricky, and due to his medical attention only, Tricky was fully recovered. While going home, Tricky looked out of the window and he was watching James Harriet, and James Harriet also felt that he wished he could keep Tricky, but it belonged to Mrs. Pomfrey. It belonged to Mrs. Pomfrey. That's why James Harriet could not do anything, but what he did, he treated Tricky and he set the example for others also that if the dog is there, give him plenty of exercise along with the food. Okay, so here we end our chapter. Thank you.